Hello, I want to show you my build when I'm playing against 30 levels higher than me at level 85. I would say it's harder on lower level to play too high content. I'm not using any shouts. That was like one of my own rules when I started playing this game, because everyone said shouts and whirlwind are OP. So I was like, I'm not gonna play shouts and I'm not gonna play whirlwind, and I'm gonna make my own build. Of course, I've looked up how damage buckets work and mechanics and stuff like that. So what is this build? It's basically weapon arsenal and jump, leap, and HotA. That's the build. So at the start here, I'm going quite slow because I have to build up the fortify. Now I have done that. That's a tip: if you're pushing high content, then you should only have one thing that gives you fortify. Like, you will get there eventually. You will get up your fortify. The only problem with that is if you die, which you will do when pushing content, then you have to build it up again. So it's, might have, if you're pushing really high content and you die and you have to face some elite mobs, then you probably lost, because it's really hard to build up the fortify versus big elite enemies. But I would say I do this content quite easily. I have completed 32 higher than me, but that's not fun to watch. Then I return to base a lot, I die a lot, and I return to base, and I have to go really slow, like kicking enemies out to face one elite at a time and stuff like that. So this is like pretty doable. Of course, you're gonna farm slower than if you're doing like low level content. The best for XP farming is probably to go only 4 levels above your level. You don't gain any extra levels from doing what I do, like facing 30 level higher enemies. But you do get better gear. But even then, yes, you get better gear, but in the time I complete this one, a lower level one, I would have completed like 3 or 4 dungeons in the same time. So I would have gotten more XP and more items, even though the average item power level is lower when you're doing low tier content. But that's not why I'm playing this game. I'm playing this game to have fun. So when I built this build, I mainly focused on what skills are fun. It is fun to hit enemies really hard. That's why I have HotA. I would say Lunging Strike is the most fun basic generator ability, because it gives you movement. And I've played with it from the start, so it's like it's gonna be hard for me to not play with it. I'm so used to be able to jump around with it. So here I died because I played bad, and if you play bad you should die. And those ranged enemies deal tons of damage. They deal so much damage. So now I'm gonna have to rebuild my fortify. Kick resets the jump, so if I want to move fast, I can like kick objects, crushable objects. I can kick to be able to jump faster. That's fun. So HotA and Lunging Strike, and then the weapons arsenal has to be the most fun ultimate ability, like you're swinging like crazy. And Stomp is good. It also resets the jump, and it gives an earthquake. And for those who don't know, like the earthquakes basically gives you, when you stand in them, 15% X damage and 15% less damage taken. So that's quite good. And there are leap builds coming up now, like it's getting stronger and stronger. I played this build before it got buffed in the last patch, but now there are actually really good builds using leap and the kick and stuff. So leap, it mainly gives me resource, and it gives me the fortify, because when I max resource I get the fortify. And the kick I can use to kick enemies into each other, to group them up. But the main thing I use it for is to make them vulnerable again, for 3 more seconds of vulnerability. And I deal like 4x damage, 4 times as much damage when they are vulnerable, so that's important. And you can also kick enemies out of combat, so you can kill 1 elite at a time. And I'm also completing like the whole dungeon. I'm not rushing through. If you really want to go for high tier and just want to go as high as possible, you should choose a dungeon which has as few elites as possible, or rather few elites that you have to kill, so you should just run past all the elites, because the elites are the hardest part about the dungeon. The boss at the end is not hard, compared to like facing 3 elites at the same time with different abilities. Those are gonna be way harder, and I think the boss doesn't scale as much as the elites do. So I could probably, with this build, I think I would be able to do 35 levels if I had the perfect dungeon and the perfect potion and just rushed past everything and just did what I had to and chose the right dungeon. But that's not fun. This is fun. Like, you saw I died once. This is really close to dying as well. So sometimes it seems like I do quite a little bit of damage, and that's because I have to play very defensively. Like, if they are not vulnerable, they take way less damage, and then I have to jump around. I got the Frenzy Amulet there with pretty close to perfect stats, so I kinda wanna do a Frenzy build. I'm gonna talk about that too. Like, a lot of the builds people would say are not viable because you can't speed farm with them. This build can actually speed farm quite well. On low levels the leap actually kills stuff, so you can just jump around killing all the trash mobs. But if you're just pushing high tier content, you see the bosses take like 30 seconds or even more if there are many elites at the same time. It takes like minutes to finish them. Then you can play a frenzy build because you can stand there and hack at the same enemy for 10 seconds. Which you couldn't do with a speed build because, yeah, then it's just too slow. So I think this is the way to play the game. Like, go for hard nightmare dungeons. There are so many more viable builds then, and you can make your own build easily. And it's a lot more fun, I think. It's kind of fun to speed farm as well and everything just dies. But that's not how the game is meant to be enjoyed, I think. The developers talked a lot about the slow combats, which I talked about in another video. So if you don't know how the weapon arsenal system works, it's actually kind of fun to look at my own video. I haven't done that too much before. You see the yellow circles in the bottom between the skills and the buffs. I want all of them to be yellow at the same time. Then I basically get 50% X damage. So, and I don't look at them while I play. But I think, you see, yeah, now I haven't used Launching Strike. And I guess that's the one I failed to use. Yeah, most of the time all 3 are filled. And the alt, of course, fills all of them, because you use all the 3 weapons. On every build that uses Launching Strike, which I guess is quite common, it is, since you're not using it for the damage, I would suggest putting your dual wielding weapons, because they attack faster, so you will actually Launching Strike faster as well. That's a tip for you. And then with the HotA I use the bludgeoning weapon, and the jump I have the sword. So that's how I get all the 3 different arsenals. But because Stomp doesn't use a weapon, or rather it uses the weapon that you currently have equipped. And the same with Kick. So when I'm gonna make a Kick build later, I think. And my goal is to not use a generator at all and not use a core skill. So I'm just gonna make resources with the jump and then kick in. You can. One of the passive skill points of Kick is that you use all your resources for a huge amounts of damage. And then I can't play Arsenal. Then I just want Kick to use the highest damage weapon. And then I will probably have to use Shouts as well. But so far, I don't want to use Shouts. Like, all of the skills I have are so much more fun than using Shouts. This guy, when he's attacking, when he's raising his maces into the air, you're gonna see it now, I think. Yeah, you have to like avoid him because he's gonna stun you for a long time. You can actually die. I wouldn't die now if I'm on full HP because there are not many enemies around. But you can be unlucky. And he's running around for such a long time. It took for a long time I thought he did it indefinitely. So I had to like jump in and try to make him miss his attack. But you can just kite him for like 10 seconds and he's gonna lower his arms. So yeah, there you saw me kicking all the enemies together, all of them getting vulnerable and dying. It's so much fun. And the kick also makes them explode if they die. So you can get this fun bowling effect, where you throw one enemy into the other guys and everyone just explodes. Even on this high content, like... So what is bad about this build is that I have so many different damage dealing skills. Like on a perfect build you would probably just want to have one skill that is damage, so you can focus all your legendary aspects for one thing. Like now I have some that makes my leap better, and my leap basically deals the same damage as my HotA. And I have some that increases HotA, and the only synergy there is that for every enemy I hit with the HotA, my leap will do more damage. And also, of course, the leap makes this earthquake, which is really good. The stomp is the one that gives me extra damage, and the leap gives damage reduction, the earthquake. So it's not a perfect build, but that's not what I want either. I want a fun build. And this is fun. I guess here you can see that the content is actually a bit too easy, I would say. Like, these two elites are like no problem at all. Usually when I play, it's more like if I'm against 2 or 3 elites, I have to kick one of them out and kill one at a time. And I never had to go back to base and use the healer and stuff like that. But that's why I chose a bit lower difficulty, because it's not that fun to watch the other ones. This is still like 40 minutes long, I think. So it's not a fast speedrun. So I'd say the most scary enemies are of course the cold enchanted, and the one that makes this U-shaped wall that just freezes you, because that one has like no build-up mechanic at all. Most things you can dodge, like this fire for example, you can just dodge the things, and the lightning, it doesn't burst you down. But this U-shaped thing that just freezes me, I can't see a build-up for that. It feels like it just poof instantly and you're frozen, and then there's like 5 other enemies CCing you and killing you. That's also a thing. I'm not playing with any unstoppable mechanic, because that's not fun. Like you remove a big part of the game. A big part of the gameplay is dodging build-up mechanics or telegraphed mechanics. So I don't want to use unstoppable. Like I could see me having like one unstoppable thing with a long cooldown. I guess that would be fine. So you still have to think about like when you use it. But shouts that gives you 100% uptime on your unstoppable, you're just removing a fun part of the game, I think. So I don't want that. Also the resource management, I don't have 100% like all the time. Sometimes I actually have to build it up. But usually when I use leap like this, it's just to build a fortify. Or if it's really, really hard content that I actually have to move a lot to jump out of stuff. That's also fun, like you care a lot about the enemy elite's affixes when you're playing hard content. If you're speedrunning, you're not. So when I crit with HotA, I think that looked like a huge crit. It's between 0.5 and 2 million damage. That depends on a lot of stuff, like do I have all of my arsenal bonuses up, all the 3 yellow circles? Do I stand in a stomp that gives me 15% extra damage? Do I am I on 100% fury? Also that's like more than double damage. I think I have like 230 max. 130, yeah, so it's like 230% damage. And stuff like that. I guess I have a little bit of damage to stun or crowd control or stuff. So the 2 million damage are not that common, but still fun. It's really fun. Like guys, make your own builds. I promise you, it's so much fun. But you have to learn about the game mechanics with the damage buckets and stuff like that. And yeah, I think they should buff the bosses, because the last boss is not that hard compared to 3 elites. Thank you for watching.